Behind the bag, it gets to Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
All right, welcome to Terrific Talk. I'm Tom Anderson. Thank you for checking out the pod here on the CLNS Media Network. A noteworthy week 2, right? We saw Drew Brees play his last game for maybe 6 weeks. We saw Ben Roethlisberger play his last game this season. And we might have seen my man Eli Manning play his last game ever in the National Football League. Hashtag thank you, Eli. Lot to unpack here. You guys know the drill. If you have any fantasy football questions or need help picking games, you can email us at terrifictalkpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on Twitter at terrifictalktom is the handle. I went 5-1 with the picks last week. Steve, I'm on fire.
On fire, Mr. Terrific.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. A little bummed about just the fact that players in the NFL, when they need 8 yards, they still run 8 yards and turn as opposed to just running 9 yards and turning. I think
you referring to a certain Eagle game?
Yeah, man. Like dropping clear touchdowns. All said and done. I mean, that was a tough week for Carson to lose 3 of his top 5 targets basically before the game even started, and for us to have an opportunity to win it with a last minute drive. I like where we're sitting. I think our defense held a pretty explosive Falcons offense somewhat in check. I mean, obviously Julio got lost there at the end, which is another one that frustrates me when a team needs 3 yards. Why are you giving a wide receiver a 10-yard cushion? But, that's neither here nor there. I had
2 takeaways from that game. The first one was Carson Wentz. I actually came away feeling pretty good about him. The first half was rough, but he lost all those weapons. Second half, he really battled. And, he's a guy who we've seen get injured millions and millions of times. He looks like he mentally is back from all the injuries. I mean, he was running hard. He was making crazy throws, falling to his knees. I was really impressed with the way Carson Wentz handled himself in that game. I think that's a really, really good sign for you guys. Flip side of that, I hate Atlanta. They're just haven't trusted them, and that game gave me even more reason not to trust them. They got super lucky to be able to hold on to win that game. I mean, they really should have lost, and you guys were playing without half your team. It was pretty ridiculous in Atlanta. So I got to tell you, I'm off the Matty Ice bandwagon. He's my fantasy quarterback. I'm really nervous to go the rest of the way with him, but did not come away feeling good about Matty Ice, Dan Quinn, and really any of the Atlanta Falcons.
They just don't scare me. I know that we took the L, unfortunate, because every win matters in the NFL, especially when you're playing for potential home field advantage in the playoffs. I think, though, every team has a game like that. So for us to just get it out of our system, I think is good. I agree with you that, Carson, he took some big hits. He's been injury prone. I think, him getting up, shaking those off and coming alive in the second half is a sign of good things to come. So I share your thoughts there on feeling pretty optimistic on him the rest of the way.
Steve, I like you. And probably about 4 minutes into this podcast, and I let us do a little Eagles talk just because.
I know. We're over. We can be done.
But, I mean, you're worried about home field, but it's not going to matter because the Giants are going 14-2. Daniel Jones starting line.
He's back, baby. Or he's in. He's in now for real. How do you feel about the Daniel Jones era in New York with the midgets? I mean, the Giants. Are you feeling positive? Are you feeling?
Window just opened up. It was kind of stuffy and stale in here.
Mm-hmm.
My man Pat Shurmur cracked open the window. A nice Daniel Jones breeze is blowing in my face. I feel great. I don't think we're going to lose the rest of the way. Did you see that preseason? Completed 80% of his passes. So many doubters. He's got so many people to prove wrong.
I think the doubting will continue. Unfortunately for you, not
after week 3.
Yeah, I guess you never know, but I just can't see the Giants. I can't see them winning more than 4 games this year.
Oh, stop it! It's not with Daniel Jones behind.
Yeah, I just can't see it. Now that kind of gets to like the thumbs up, thumbs down that we'll get to later. I can elaborate more, but I'm just happy that the Giants are making a change because it's about time.
We love Eli.
We talked about this last year on the pod about Eli. Like, no, you can never take away what Eli has done. However, if you live in the past, you're never going to get anywhere. I mean, Eli he's a shell of what he was, and you take a high draft pick like this for a reason, for a replacement. So give him his due. Let's see if he can play or not.
Eli's been playing behind the worst offensive line in football for years, and the defense is trash. We love you, Eli. 2 Super Bowls when you had a little bit of talent around you. Moving on, Steve, we're going to mix it up this week. We're going to play a fun little game of FanDuel. And FanDuel, by the way, if you're listening, want to be a sponsor, we'll take you. We'd love to have you. Steve, explain the game.
So the game is going to play out this way. We're going to have 5 positions: QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense. I've rated them based off their rankings on FanDuel so that there is one player at each position that's worth $5. There's one that's worth $4. There's one that's worth $3. There's one that's worth $2. There's one that's worth $1. We can spend $15 total, and we have to field one of each position. So without further ado, let me just run through the players that we have at our disposal. And again, this was kind of selected at random-ish. So the $5 players: QB, we've got the TD monster, Patrick Mahomes, clearly. Running back, we've got Zeke. Wide receiver, we've got Julio. Tight end, we've got Travis Kelce. Defense, 2 defenses, because they're 2 of the biggest lines I've ever seen on the same weekend for the NFL. That's Cowboys at the Dolphins. That's Pats at Jets. These lines are 21 Cowboys giving to the Dolphins, and it's 22.5 for the Pats giving to the Jets. So we got to pick potentially one. I mean, we may not pick either of them, but they're going to be in the hunt for the $5 teams.
Yep.
$4 positions, we've got Brady, Aaron Jones for running back, AB for wide receiver, George Kittle for tight end, Bears at Skins for defense. $3 players, we got Carson Wentz, we've got David Johnson, we've got Stephon Diggs, we've got who did I say that I wanted there?
Evan Ingram,
sorry. And
My
then
boy.
Your
Love
boy. I had to throw a giant your way. Then the defense, we've got 49ers at the Steelers. $2 players, we've got Matthew Stafford, we've got Marlon Mack, we've got Chris Godwin from Tampa Bay. We've got Delaney Walker. We've got the Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars for the defense. $1 players, we've got Trubisky. We've got Sony Michel. We've got Robert Woods. We've got Dillisley from Seattle. And we've got the Panthers at the Cardinals for defense. So field your team for me. You go first.
Steve, true or false? If I give $15 to the TD Monster, do I still win?
I knew that you were going to say that.
All right, so obviously you're trying to win. You never not take the TD Monster. This guy's going to throw like 80 touchdowns this year. He's insane. He threw 4 in one quarter this last game.
How about his second quarter? That was like mythical. This is the stuff of legends.
It's the stuff of legends. Without Tyreek Hill, TD Monster is just on another level. He's the MVP again. There's no doubt about he's going to be the MVP.
Not only is it not like without Tyreek Hill, he's not throwing to Sammy Watkins either, because I played against him this week in fantasy and he did nothing. He's getting it to these guys that no one's ever heard of,
Insane.
Who are now going to be the hottest waiver pickups this week.
Yeah, I can't believe Sammy didn't have a big game. Sorry out there.
So you got the monster.
So I got the monster, and I'm loading up. I'm going heavy up top. I'm taking another $5 player.
Whoa.
He goes by Zeke.
Whoa.
Yeah. You mentioned that big line this week. Dallas by 21 against Miami in Dallas. Feed Zeke, okay? Zeke's going off. If I just have the TD Monster and Zeke do their normal things, I'm pretty confident I'm going to win this. Wide receiver, I'm going $3. I'm going to go with my man Stephon Diggs of the Minnesota Vikings. Another heavy favorite at home playing against Oakland. He's going to go for some big points in that game. Love it. And then, I'm going to go a little cheap on defense. That's fine. I'm going to take a flyer and take $1 on that Titans-Jacksonville game. Both those offenses stink. I'm confident with the way the defense will play. We can get a couple, weird Thursday night games. Things happen. We'll get some.
Wait. So they're the $2. They're the $2 team. So you got to go Panthers then.
Oh, they're $2?
Yeah, Titans, Jags are the $2 team. Got to go Panthers. Panthers
right,
Cards. How do you feel about that?
Panthers. It's not a great matchup, but they can go negative points. It doesn't matter because I've got Zeke and the TD Monster. And then tight end, Disley. Did I know whose team Disley was on before we started doing this podcast? But he scored touchdowns last week, apparently, against Pittsburgh for the Seattle Seahawks. So Disley, phenomenal value. Take him.
Value picks. There, I went the more traditional route. I just did the 5-4-3-2-1. So with that being said, 5 clearly is the TD monster. I can't. Everything you said is true. Guy's MVP. There's nothing more that really needs to be said. For the $2 player, I'm going Marlon Mack. Return of the Mack. Goofy. I think Marlon Mack gets back going. $1 player, I'm going Robert Woods. He's tough, man. I know that Cooper Kupp is a go-to for Goff. I know that Brandon Cooks. I know it's a loaded team, but I think Robert Woods. I think he gets into the end zone this weekend, so I'm gonna ride it out with him. I'm gonna go Niners for the next 2 picks. I'm gonna go Niners defense against Pittsburgh. You know, we're talking Mason Rudolph. Big Ben's out for the season. Touched on it earlier. He did come in and play decently well in that second half, but I think the Niners defense will be kind of keyed up on game planning for him. And then George Kittle. He's a target monster from Jimmy G. Jimmy G had a big week last week, despite some turnovers, still put up nearly 30 points of fantasy. And I think he's going to kind of get into the swing of finding Kittle over the middle. So there's my squad.
We'll see how you do. If I were you, I'd be a little worried. You mentioned Mason Rudolph. Steve, you know his nickname right now?
Go, give it to me.
Mason Rudolph, the red zone reindeer.
Oh, God.
Yeah. He's going to be in the red zone all day, just destroying your defense.
The only red zone he's going to know is inside his zone 20.
We'll see. So that's the matchup. Let's tally this up this week and see who wins next week. I like it.
We'll have to see how it plays out. So you were TD Monster, you were Zeke, you were Diggs, then you were. Oh no, wait. Could you have done that? 5, 3. Yeah, you had to go 2 1s. So then you went Panthers and Disley. Okay. Disley. This will be a fun little game. We'll see how it plays out.
Speaking a little competitive, 5-1 with my picks last week, Steve.
You did well. My fantasy, I'm happy to report I did get a win somehow, some way. I was down 20 going into Monday Night Football, and I had the Browns defense and Le'Veon Bell. I had a moment of just sheer panic when Le'Veon Bell fumbled inside the 10-yard line, but then I remembered that I had the Browns D, so it was basically negated, so I hung on for a 3-point win.
Wow. I lost. I'm 0-2. Again,
oh, no.
The injury bug bites me. I'm about to win. Alshon Jeffrey goes down.
Ugh.
Loss. So last week it was Tyreek Hill. This week it was Alshon Jeffrey. Let's see who goes down next week for me. It's just like last year. You know, it was an 0-2 start last year, and we crawled all the way back to the Super Bowl, kept the dynasty alive. I'm not worried. There's no.
And he did that off the waiver wire, ladies and gentlemen. So he knows his players. He knows these teams. Trust these picks.
Might be picking up Disley this week. All right, let's do it. NFL Week 3 picks. Steve, who do you like this week?
Part of me just really wants someone out there to parlay a money line pick of Dolphins and Jets. Like, what is that going to be worth if you spent $10 on a parlay that they both win straight up on the money line? I would love to see it. Not going to happen. So the teams that I like, you got to ride the TD monster. I know the Ravens are playing well. I know Lamar Jackson's playing well. They're given 6.5 points. They're at home. I think they beat the Ravens by a TD. How do we think about the Bucks at home against the Daniel Jones-led Giants? They're giving them 6.5. You've been saying, through 2 weeks you're betting against the Giants heavy all day, every day, but we're souring on the Bucks here. This is an interesting line. It seems weird to me that it's this high. So does Vegas know something about Daniel Jones that we don't? It's intriguing. I want to stay away from it, though. The other game, though, is the is Rams at Browns. Rams are -3. I know the Browns came off that win last night. I wasn't really super impressed with that team, though. I have much more faith in the Rams. I think they get that win. I think they do it by more than a field goal. So I'll ride the TD monster. I'll stick with the Rams in Cleveland. Those are my two that I'm looking at.
I was going with the Rams as well against Cleveland. I'm not impressed with Cleveland. I think they're young. They're kind of undisciplined.
Myles Garrett, beast. I mean, again, I have them for my fantasy, 3 sacks, but he has 2 personal fouls. He basically ends Trevor Siemian's career on just like a hit that doesn't need to happen. It just, yeah.
I just don't trust them, and I'm a little worried that Baker is a little overrated right now. Like, are we like Baker? He makes some good throws every now and then, but he's not like 100% like, oh, I really trust Baker right now. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting. He's still young, only his second season. I like the Rams a lot.
Booger McFarland highlighted it during the broadcast, and I watched it during the game. There was a play where I don't remember if it was Nick Chubb or Duke Johnson leaked out of the backfield, and it's just like he had the check down. Easy. I'm like, check it down. And he takes another, like, 2 pats of the football and just tries to drill one into Odell. And, like, he's triple covered, and it's just kind of like, what? Like, are you trying to be the hero? Tom Brady, Drew Brees, they're checking down to their running back all day, every day, and they're living to see another down. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just pressing maybe too much. Baker.
You mentioned Booger McFarland. Steve, can you do your Tony Romo impersonation?
On the spot. Well, Jim, I mean, Baker, I don't know what he's seeing down there. He has triple covers. He has the running back leaking out of the backfield. He's got to go there, Jim.
Oh, Jim, I don't know, Jim. Jim, hang on. We got a good one here, Jim.
I haven't actually seen a Tony Romo, Romo broadcast a game yet, so I got to get that in me.
Me too. Where the hell are you, Tony? So, yeah, I like the Rams -3 at Cleveland.
All right, everybody. I want to take a quick break here to tell you about Keeps. Did you know that 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35? I know from personal experience. I'm one of those 2-3 guys. It's tough, but there's good news. With today's advancements in science, Keeps offers proven treatments that can combat the symptoms of hair loss. Keeps has revolutionized the way men are treated for hair loss. You used to have to go to the doctor's office for your hair loss prescription. Now, thanks to Keeps, you can visit a doctor online and get medication delivered to your home. That easy. No more waiting rooms and no more pharmacy checkout lines. No embarrassing moments. You get your doctor attention and discreet drug delivery, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. Find out why Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors, and nearly 100,000 men trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention medication. Keeps treatments start at just $10 a month, plus for a limited time, you can get your first month free. So hey, if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/terrific to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/terrific to receive your first month of treatment for free. Keeps.com, KEEPS.com. All right, let's get back to Steve.
Another game I was looking at was, this feels like a fishy line to me, and I want to get your thoughts on it. The Saints, without Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater here, in Seattle. Seattle here, favored by 4.5. Is the Seattle home field advantage thing gone?
Yeah, you would think that would be a touchdown.
Right?
Yeah, easy. I noticed that as well, looking through the lines. I just don't know what you're going to get out of Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater pre-injury in Minnesota, that line makes sense. I don't know if he's the same player.
I'm looking at the Saints there very, very closely. I think that I don't think a lot of people are going to be on the Saints this week after Breeze being out. I think it could be a good sneaky play there. Also, very sorry to all you fantasy owners who have Alvin Kamara and John Connor. Tough week for you.
Tough week.
One other game I'm looking at, the Denver Broncos at the Green Bay Packers here. Packers at Lambeau, favored by 8. Seems like a lot. I feel like Rodgers comes out and goes ham, kind of like we saw in that first quarter against Minnesota, but they keep it going. Joe Flacco is horrible. The Denver offense can't do anything. I think Green Bay wins this one in a blowout.
I would not be surprised to see that.
I think Vegas
blowout game.
That's why they made the line so high. I think it's going to be a blowout.
Wouldn't shock me. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has won his first 2 games. He hasn't been his usual self. I gotta think that one of those 4 touchdown games is coming, and I just don't know if the Broncos can keep pace with that. Should that be the case, so I can feel that coming as well.
Let's go to your emails. We got a good one here from David Russell. David writes, first off, great podcast, Tom, and good luck with your dynasty this year.
Got to keep it going.
You know it. Back to back to back to back fantasy titles, everybody. But he says, I want to get right to it. What the hell is going on with OJ Howard? Steve, what is going on with OJ Howard?
It's crazy. 2 years ago, I picked him late in my draft because we used to do a keeper, and I picked him in the 15th round, thinking coming out of Alabama, going to the Bucks, high-powered offense, that he was going to just be a stud and someone that I could just keep in the 15th round and the 13th and kind of have it snowball lower and lower. I don't even know if he's worth owning at this point, which is just bizarre because we touched on him in week one. He's kind of that mismatch nightmare of a tight end that can also be a wide receiver because he's got the speed, he's got the size, and he wasn't even targeted last week.
Yeah. David, Steve is right. I don't think you should own OJ Howard. I think it's time to cut bait. He's one of these guys who's just ridiculously athletic, but not the best pass catcher or route runner. He reminds me a little. Remember Jermichael Finley on the Packers?
Yep.
Remember how everyone was talking him up like this guy is going to be the next Jimmy Graham? He's super athletic, and he kind of just did, and he had Aaron Rodgers, and he really didn't have that great of a career. I'm getting that vibe a little bit from OJ Howard. They also have Cameron Brate at tight end. Brate seems like he's got a little bit better chemistry even with Winston. Winston looks for him more in the Mason Rudolph red zone. So I would cut bait with OJ Howard. David also asked about AB and Hollywood Brown. What should I do? A little bit of a dilemma here. I say play it week to week, base it on the matchups. We have no idea what the hell's going to go on with AB, if he's even going to be here, in week 6. I would play him next week, though. I'll tell you that much.
So that's, I mean, my in our little game we played, one of my thoughts was to go TB, AB, but I just worry, though, their first, 5 games are such a joke that, I don't even know if they're going to – I mean, it is the Patriots, so they don't care. They keep the pedal to the metal, but I just worry that if this game gets out of hand, he's not even really going to play much. He had 3 targets in the first drive, caught all 3 passes, caught his touchdown, but, that's really all he did. Hollywood Brown, however, Cousins, it's a family problem. I think that Lamar Jackson is looking for him, and I think he's a guy that could be played week in and week out at this point, assuming health. I know that he's been battling some I don't actually know what it was, like a hamstring potentially or a blowback or something, yeah. But he's got strong appeal, I think, as a week in and week out play. I'll actually probably be playing him this week because Alshon Jeffrey's got an injury. Tyrell Williams looking like he's a little dinged up with a hip pointer. I think I'm going to roll with Hollywood Brown this week myself. So, I like it. And that game we touched on it. It's Chiefs and Ravens, and for the Ravens to even have a chance, they need to probably put up 4 touchdowns because no one's stopping the TD monster. So I think it's going to be a shootout. I think Hollywood's a good play this week.
I think it's going to be a shootout as well. I like it. I'm with you. I asked you to do Tony Romo earlier. I want to play one other game. I love it when you say this word. Can you say this word for me? It's WORRY.
Worry?
Wary. I love it.
Why? Worry.
It's worry, and you always say wary.
I say worry. How do you say it?
Worry.
You say worry? No, I say worry.
Wary. It's always that. I love that Philly accent. Wary.
It comes out. It comes out for a few words.
I'm very wary watching the limited Philly receiving corps.
Well, that's 2 different things. You just said wary as in WARY.
No, that's how you're saying it, though.
No, I say worry, not wary. There's clear differences in those 2 words.
Worry and wary. That's the problem right now. It's okay.
Hey, people, you're listening. Email us and tell Tom that he's wrong. I do say 2 different words there.
I think I'm going to win that one.
I don't know.
All right, people. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Steve alluded to it earlier. I'll let him go first.
My thumbs up is to the New York football Giants. Finally moving on from Eli Manning. I know he got them 2 Super Bowls. It'll be a discussion about him and being in the Hall of Fame. But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. They've seen the light. They're moving on. He's given that franchise a ton, and I think it's time for a new day. So I'll be interested to see how things go with Daniel Jones. My thumbs down, is kind of on a similar line. We're losing quarterbacks left and right, whether they're getting displaced, whether they're getting injured, and you still see this guy lingering out there, and he's not getting any call-ups, and that's Colin Kaepernick. And it just makes you wonder, is this a blackball play by the NFL? Because you can't tell me that the Jets Jets third stringer, I don't even remember what his name was, Luke Falk or something.
No Falk of your own.
Is he better than Colin Kaepernick? Maybe, maybe not. Colin Kaepernick was in the Super Bowl. This guy hasn't been. That was years ago. It's just confusing to me. I think at some point, one of these teams has got to bring him in for a tryout. And until they do, I'll give that whole situation a thumbs down.
So my thumbs up, thumbs down this week is for a couple of our friends of the podcast. Thumbs up. We're starting off. Got to give some love, dude. Chris Liebner and the Buffalo Bills.
They got a W.
We spent 16 weeks of our lives last year making fun of Liebner and the dumpster fire Bills. And it might have been the best 16 weeks of our lives. It was a phenomenal time. We had the dumpster emoji going in the text chain. I mean,
his dumpster at his apartment building literally caught on fire. We can't make that up.
Yes, a dumpster outside his apartment caught fire. It was the Buffalo Bills. It was LaShawn McCoy said it himself, and then he spoiled the Avengers for everybody. A brutal year for Liebner and the Bills, and here we are, 2-0. Very exciting time for the Bills, okay? They've beaten the Jets and Giants. Really not that great of wins, but let's not take anything away from Chris Liebner and the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to give it to you. Let's go, Buffalo.
We love you, Liebs.
Now, switching gears. Thumbs down time for another pal of the podcast. A very ironic thumbs down. Our mutual friend, longtime New York Jets supporter, Zach Solomon. Steve, you know Solly?
Love that, man.
You're not going to believe this. The King Solly, has come down with mono.
No.
Yeah, it's tough to see. Not sure how he picked it up. But, yeah, I just wanted to say on behalf of the Terrific Talk podcast, Solly, please stay hydrated, get some rest, and get better, man.
Was he hanging out with Darnold?
You know, that's where rumors start. Thumbs down, Solly and his mono. All right, TV pick. Steve, what's the recommendation this week?
So I'm going to go with an old classic. It's long been done, long been finished as a series. Maybe we've touched on this before, but it's probably one of my top 5 favorites of all time, and that'd be Californication. I'm just bringing it up because now being in California, it never rains in Southern California. It hasn't rained for months. You want to get a little bit of a feel for that lifestyle, go watch David Duchovny. Killer in that show. It's short episodes, so you plow right through it. It's great.
I've never seen Californication.
Oh, my God, dude. That should literally be instantaneously the only thing that you're going to watch now moving forward. I know you love Yellowstone. It could take a back seat. It's not going anywhere.
No, Yellowstone is the best show of all time. It's not even close. All right, so maybe I'll check that out. I believe today would have been the great James Gandolfini's birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're going there. Another classic.
Yep, September 18th. James Gandolfini. Of course, the great Tony Soprano, my favorite show of all time. Wanted to give a shout out to Uncle Tony. You know I love Succession. You know I love Yellowstone. Steve, I started dipping my toes into this latest season of Ballers. Have you started Ballers yet?
Oh, yes.
I'm in. It's fairly good, but I feel like there's not enough Rock. Did The Rock get too big for Ballers? Because I feel like he's in like 5 minutes of every half-hour show.
They're going down a lot of storylines that do not intrigue me. I don't want to say that they don't intrigue me, but I want to see more Rock. I agree.
We need more Spencer Strasmore in our lives. Rock, stop working on these crap movies. Get to Ballers. It's the last season.
And don't hate me, Tom. I feel like I maybe have said this before, but never seen Sopranos, dude.
All right, we're going to edit that out. That's embarrassing. What are you doing? You haven't seen Sopranos.
It is embarrassing.
Come
I know,
on.
dude. It's embarrassing. I know.
It's the greatest show of all time. You haven't seen Yellowstone, Sopranos. You have so much viewing to do. Come on.
I do.
All
I'll
right.
get on it.
Get on it, everybody. If you haven't watched Sopranos, go watch that. Have a very successful week 3 with your picks and fantasy football. Let's keep the winning going. As always, thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. We had a lot of listeners last week. I was very excited about that. So thank you for tuning in. Go subscribe, rate, and review the Terrific Talk podcast on iTunes. You can also find us on Spotify. Hit me up at Terrific Tom on Twitter. The email, if you want to hit some fantasy football questions at us, terrifictalkpodcast@gmail.com. And Steve, as always, we will see you next week.
Keep showing us some love, people. Fly, Eagles, fly.
TPP.
Wait, does Sally really have mono?
No, I made that up.
My God, I literally was like, he's joking right now, but I like want to believe that this is true so badly.
It would be the greatest thing of all time.
Could you imagine?
Welcome to Terrific Talk. My name is Tom Anderson.
Back,
Tom Anderson.
back, back, gone. Back, gone.
Tom Anderson.
Great cash, homie. Great cash, homie.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown!
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown!
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Terrific Talk Podcast. Welcome back, Terrific Talk Podcast.
Here comes the hoe.
I'm your host, Tom Anderson.
First, behind the bag! It gets through Buckner! Here comes Knight and the Mets win it! Back,